Okay, so today we're going deep on a book that's, well, I think it's fair to say, changed the way a lot of people think about habits.
Yeah, absolutely. Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah. Have you read it?
Oh, yeah, cover to cover. I mean, who hasn't at this point, right?
I feel like everyone's talking about it,
Yeah.
and for good reason, I think. Well, I guess we'll get into all that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we're going to try and like pull out the best bits from Atomic Habits.
Mhm.
You know, the stuff that really gets you thinking like, "Oh, I can actually use that."
Exactly. Like
Uh,
actionable stuff, because there's a lot of self-help out there that's kind of fluffy.
mm.
But Clear, he backs it all up with science, like real psychology and behavioral research.
Right, right. So it's not just like vibes.
Exactly. It's like, okay, if you do this, this is likely to happen because of this, so you can actually like build a system for yourself.
Ooh, system. That's a good keyword. I feel like that's a big part of the book.
Totally. But we'll get there.
We'll get there. All right, so where do we even start with this thing? I mean, it's packed with ideas.
Right. Like, where do you even begin changing your habits?
Well, I think the core of it, like the foundation, is what Clear calls the four laws of behavior change.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I remember that. Like a framework for making or breaking any habit.
Right. Whether you want to start running every morning or finally write that novel or just like remember to floss.
It can all be boiled down to these four laws.
Yeah. It's about making it obvious, making it attractive, making it easy, and making it satisfying.
Catchy. So, like, how obvious are we talking here? I mean, if I want to work out more, should I, like, tattoo it on my forehead?
Haha. Well, maybe not that obvious. But Clear talks about like manipulating your environment. So if you want to work out in the morning, you put your workout clothes right next to your bed. Like you can't miss them.
Oh, yeah, I remember that example. It's like setting yourself up for success before you even wake up.
Exactly. And it works both ways. Like
Well,
if you're trying to stop snacking, you don't keep chips on the counter. You put them in a hard to reach cupboard, or better yet, don't even buy them.
out of sight, out of mind. Totally. So, make the cues for good habits obvious and the cues for bad habits invisible.
I like it. Okay, so that's obvious. What about attractive? How do you make something like flossing attractive?
Well, it's not always about making the habit itself attractive. Sometimes it's about linking it to something you do enjoy. Clear calls this temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. Now that sounds interesting.
Right. So let's say you love watching a certain TV show, but you know you should be working out. You only allow yourself to watch that show while you're on the treadmill.
Ooh, sneaky. So you're basically using something you already want to do as leverage to do something you need to do.
Exactly. And your brain starts associating the two, so eventually the need to do becomes more appealing because it's linked to the want to do.
That's actually pretty clever. Okay, I'm starting to see how this all comes together. What's next?
Make it easy. This one's all about reducing friction, making the habit as simple as possible to start.
So, like, baby steps.
Even smaller than that. Think the 2-minute rule.
Oh, yeah, the 2-minute rule. I vaguely remember this one.
So instead of overwhelming yourself with like a 30-minute workout, you just focus on putting on your sneakers. That's it. Once you've done that tiny step, often you'll find yourself doing more.
Right, because you've already started. It's like building momentum.
Exactly. And the same goes for breaking bad habits. Make it harder to do the thing you don't want to do. If you're always scrolling on your phone, delete the apps that suck you in.
Ah, that's a good one. Okay, so we've got obvious, attractive, and easy. What's the last one?
Make it satisfying.
Okay, so that makes sense. Like, you want the habit to feel good, right?
Exactly. It's about reward. When you do the thing you set out to do, you need to give yourself a little pat on the back. It could be something small like checking it off your to-do list or enjoying a cup of tea.
I like that. Like a little celebration for every win.
Exactly. Because our brains are wired to seek out pleasure and avoid pain. So if you make a habit satisfying, you're more likely to repeat it.
Okay, so those are the four laws. And like you said, they can apply to pretty much any habit you can think of.
Right. But Clear doesn't stop there. He goes on to talk about all sorts of fascinating concepts, like the 1% rule.
The 1% rule.
Yeah. It's the idea that tiny changes, like 1% improvements each day, can compound over time and lead to massive results.
I feel like I've heard that in like a financial context.
Exactly. It's like compound interest. Just like a small amount of money invested regularly can grow exponentially, so can small, consistent effort.
So even if I just meditate for 5 minutes a day or write one paragraph of my novel, it can actually add up to something significant.
Absolutely. It's about playing the long game, not expecting overnight transformations.
I like that. It's encouraging. Like I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep showing up.
Exactly. And Clear talks about this idea of identity-based habits.
Identity-based habits. What does that even mean?
It means shifting your focus from what you want to achieve to who you want to become.
Ooh, that sounds deep.
It is. So instead of saying, I want to read more books, you say, I am a reader.
So it's like embodying the identity you aspire to.
Exactly. And when you see yourself as that person, your actions naturally align with that identity.
I see. So if I see myself as a writer, I'm more likely to actually sit down and write.
Precisely. And this ties into the concept of systems over goals, which is another big one from the book.
Okay, systems over goals. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So goals are about the results you want to achieve, like losing weight or writing a book. But systems are about the processes that lead to those results.
So like the habits and routines that support your goals.
Exactly. It's about focusing on the journey, not just the destination.
So instead of obsessing over the number on the scale, I should focus on building a system of healthy habits that will naturally lead to weight loss.
Exactly. And the same goes for any goal. If you want to write a book, you need a system for writing regularly, for getting feedback, for dealing with writer's block.
So it's about building a framework for consistent progress, even when motivation is low.
Precisely. And a big part of building that framework is environment design.
Environment design. Okay, I think I'm starting to see the pattern here. A lot of this is about setting yourself up for success.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our environment is constantly influencing our behavior.
So if I want to eat healthier, I should make sure there are healthy snacks readily available.
Exactly. And maybe keep the less healthy options out of sight, or better yet, out of the house altogether.
If I want to read more, I should keep a book by my bed.
Exactly. It's about making the cues for good habits obvious and the cues for bad habits invisible.
We're back to the first law.
It all ties together.
This is pretty amazing stuff. I'm already thinking about all the ways I can apply this to my own life.
Me too. And Clear also talks about the importance of habit tracking.
Habit tracking. So like keeping a journal of my progress.
It could be a journal, a habit tracker app, or even just marking a calendar. The important thing is to have a visual representation of your progress.
I guess that makes sense. Like seeing how far you've come can be motivating.
Exactly. It's also a way to hold yourself accountable.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how habits work.
Me too. And the best part is, Clear makes it all seem so doable.
Yeah, it's not about making drastic changes overnight. It's about those small, consistent actions that add up over time.
Like Clear says, success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations.
So true. So what's one tiny habit change you're thinking about making after this deep dive? We'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts on social media, tell a friend, or just take a moment to reflect on the power you have to shape your own life.
Yeah, because every small change matters.
It does. And who knows, maybe that one tiny change will be the start of something amazing.
Maybe it will.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into atomic habits.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
See you then.